It's another beautiful day here in Spartanburg, and welcome to Inside Wofford Football with head coach Sean Watson. I'm Jim Noble, brought to you as always by Budweiser of Spartanburg and Yokohama. Well, Coach, another tough road assignment in the Southern Conference last week. The Mercer Bears came in #1 defense in the SoCon. Wofford fought about as hard as I've seen a Wofford team fight in quite a while. It was a 3-point game in the third quarter. Mercer did end up prevailing 31-17, but again, we saw some bright spots. We saw some young guys. We saw some leaders on the team stepping forward. Kind of give me your overall takeaway from Saturday.
Well, I felt like, the players really proud of the way they battled, because they battled. Mm-hmm. And, they gave us a great effort. And, it was really good to see them, battle the way they did, because they, even to the very last, when we get the onside, the defense goes out and gets a turnover, we turn it into a score. We onside kick, we get the ball back. So, the kids have been, I can't say enough about them. Really proud of how they battled.
Well, we have a lot to get to. We will break down the Mercer game, take you through those highlights, look ahead to what's coming up and the rest of the way for the Terriers with 3 games to go. And next, coming up a little bit later in this show, what on earth does a college football coach do on a Saturday in which he's not playing? We'll find that out from Coach Watson. It's all coming up next here on Inside Wofford Football.
You can always count on the crisp, refreshing taste of Bud Light, just like you can always count on Always Game Gary. Yay! No bar is too far. No wing sauce is too hot. Not for Gary. Gary is the man. He's nothing like Keith. Keith never wants to do anything. Why are we even talking about Keith? Always Game Gary is famous among friends. He deserves a Bud Light. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, ABC.
Welcome back. All right, coming into Saturday's game at Mercer, you had some injuries in the running back room. You were a little nicked up there. You knew you were going up against the top-rated defense in the SoCon. They've got edge rushers. They've got a great secondary. What was your offensive philosophy to try to give yourselves a good chance on Saturday?
Begin by cutting our guys loose. We've got, we have, like you said, our running back room was beat up. So, JT has been a really good performer for us. I thought David Leggett played really well for us. And, we're just going to continue to do what we do in terms of the run game and really enhance our, try to work to enhance our resources. So, we were able to add our RPO game was good to us. Our play action game was good to us. We were able to throw the ball in the drop back game, relatively well.
It's funny, it's hard to run play action when you don't have that running game rolling, but I thought the play calling enabled you guys to keep them off balance a little bit. Before we get into the highlights, self-scouting is something that a lot of teams take a great deal of pride in. How much you can look at yourselves, try to get away from tendencies and try to stop being predictable. How much are you able to do that throughout the season?
It's the number one thing we do. We look at, Sunday for, we're involved in breaking down, stacking and cleaning our cut-ups and getting those ready for game planning, which really begins to take place on Monday. Sundays more looking at games, and getting a feel for what our opponents is and looking at their tendencies. And then the number one thing, honestly, the majority of my day is spent looking at us and what we're doing. So we changed up a number of things and we do every week, how we present ourselves. And, in college football today, because everybody goes fast, in other words, no huddle offenses, it's your back tendency and your tight end tendency or what defenses, that's what they game plan. So we're always looking at presenting ourselves differently and then doing different things out of it.
Well, as we get into the highlights, Wofford got the ball first, drove it down, got a couple of first downs, one via penalty, then pinned him down on the 1-yard line with a great punt by Atkins Roberts. We'll talk more about special teams as we go on, but then Mercer drove it 99 yards, and it looked like it might be a long day. But once your defense kind of weathered that first storm and that first drive, I thought the defense really stepped up, and it was a physical approach they took and played quite well in the first half.
And they played really well. Drew told me after the game, and even before the game, what he thought of our defense, and they have a lot of respect from our opponents. And like you said, I think one of the things that they've done a great job of, that first series is always, here's how that particular offense is attacking your defense, and our guys have done a great job of making adjustments and then getting our defense settled down. I think by and large, almost in every game, and really settled them down. They played really well.
Well, it was interesting because the offense took a while to get going. 10-0 in the second quarter, but Paulie Seeley started to look a little bit more comfortable, and the timing of the short passing routes were working. And then finally, with Mercer leading 10-0 in the second quarter, Seeley found Alec Holt for the big play.
Seeley again finds the man he likes to go to, and that's Alec Holt. And Holt hits the seam and then turns on the Jets and scores! Alec Holt to the end zone for a Wofford touchdown. What a great throw.
All right, Coach, just a simple slant, but when you hit it right and Alec can get the ball in space and use his speed, that's what happens, right?
Yeah, it was, it was a well-designed play, by the offensive staff. We're basically playing their fits in the run game and, their coverage fits. And, it was by the book. I mean, it was well designed. Alec did a great job running the detail, and Paulie made a good decision.
So it's 10-7. Wofford holds Mercer off at the end of the half. A good defensive stand. They miss a field goal. So it's a 3-point game at halftime. Going to the locker room, how good are you guys feeling about yourselves?
We're feeling good because, we came, I felt like we found our rhythm offensively and kind of, got a feel for what their game plan was for us and how they were going to play us. And then we could, make the adjustments off of that and get going.
All right, coming back when we return after this, the second half, it was a wild one down in Macon. That's next here on Inside Wofford Football.
Think big. Something life-changing. I'm talking education. Let's get inventive. Blow things up in a good way. Do it for 20 years? Wake up and education has received billions in funding. Who does all this? If you've ever played one of these or these, that would be you. Yeah, thank you.
Black and gold. Bold. A victory story about to be told. Grit, toughness, and tenacity. A hub of hard work in Hub City. We're on these wins like dogs on a bone. In the zone. Our place, in your face. Won't leave you alone. Strength, speed, fire, true. I'm sorry, do these things trouble you? We're Wofford College. We fly the W. Ingalls, proud partner of the Wofford Terriers.
Welcome back to Inside Wofford Football, as always, brought to you by Budweiser of Spartanburg and Yokohama. I'm Jim Noble. Well, Coach, we began the third quarter down 3. Brandon Mena got into the mix with a sack. He's been kind of banged up, fighting an ankle injury. Good to have his motor and his energy back on the defense. I thought he made a difference Saturday.
He does. Brandon's a great human being, and he's an excellent football player. And, we have missed him the last couple of weeks. And, he just adds to already what I think is a really good football room. And I thought he played really well for us. It's good to see him back out there.
The defense was playing physical. Offense taking care of the football. So we'll kind of move you forward to a very key sequence coming up in the third quarter. Wofford gets the ball back, trailing 10-7. You drive it down. You're hitting those short passes, the tempo, the timing. Everything's clicking. Offense looking very crisp. And then you have a chance for a catch in the end zone. Doesn't happen. You're tasked with a 4th and 1. First of all, tell me about the decision, and then J.T. Smith carries it from the booth. It looks like he has it. We never get a good ruling spot-wise. They ruled J.T. short. What did you think of that whole sequence? How did it unfold from your perspective?
Well, we had a really good play called that, we had, some people say questionable whether he got across the end zone or not with possession. Mm-hmm. I don't have the instant replay, so I'm sure they, made the right decision on that. And then we come back on the spot, and again, it's human error or human, however the human sees it.
But when they're not reviewing it or they're not even measuring,
right?
What's a coach to do?
Well, in those situations, I personally think they should all be reviewed. Mm-hmm. I think when you watch, you watch pro football, you watch, college football. That's what happens because it's a decisive down and decisive play in the game.
Yeah, as we look back, that was really when the momentum started to shift to Mercer because they get the ball back on downs. They drive it down the field. Now it's 17-7, and now you've got to start to open up the offense even more and take some chances. And then a missed blocking assignment. Paulie Seeley gets blindsided. Mm-hmm. Ball goes into the end zone. They fall at 24-7. Solomon Zubaru, great player on their side. He makes the play, but was that one play just with a lot of young guys out there and blitz pickup and things like that, although it was defensive end that made it? What went wrong on that play?
Well, it just, it was really, honestly, it was an RPO that set up a real simple one, and we just didn't execute the blocking pattern on the backside, and really, honestly, the read. And I think, me personally, I can put Paulie in a better situation than that.
Mm-hmm. So we move forward, and then the great thing about watching that game and calling that game is nobody quit. The defense is still keeping them out of the end zone offensively. We're roaring back. You get a long pass down to Tyler Parker. Mm-hmm. Looks like he kicks the pylon over. Again, they say no. So we get the ball in the one, fall short on two running plays, and then a play that just goes wrong. And it just seemed you're banging on the door, you're knocking on the door. Not being able to kick it in at that moment was tough.
Yeah, we've got to execute, and that could be said for the play we previously talked about. Just got to execute at the right times. I mean, we've proven and put it on film that we can, and we just always. Football is a game where you got 11 guys out there, and 11 guys got to do their job, and we as coaches got to put them in the right plays. And I thought that sequence there, you got to knock it in you want to run it through the end zone. You do. You want to run it in. Mm-hmm. So we got to be able to run it in.
And, of course, losing, not having Ryan Ingram available, not having Kyle Parsons available, kind of for two of our bigger backs, certainly an issue there. And then down the stretch, they get a long interception return for a touchdown. We battle back. You get another field goal. You get a touchdown from Dylan Droz. You see some bright spots. Special teams, I thought. You executed onside kick. But I also thought Atkins Roberts, they have one of the best punt returners in all of SCS football in Devron Harper. The hang time on Atkins punts and the depth on them, that was a big part in limiting their two big weapons, I thought, Harper and King, to really fairly quiet days. Yeah,
we had, those two kids are great players, and, they've hurt a lot of people in the last 2 years I've been in the league, and, part of it's holding them. I thought our defense did a good job not giving up explosives. It started there, and then our special teams, Atkins did a tremendous job because he was asked to, get hang time and let our return team get down, and we worked hard at getting those two hemmed up because they can turn a game around real quick. They did a great job.
And finally, with the final score being 31-17, when you take those two defensive touchdowns out of it, your defense, it's a tie game. The way your defense held them to 17 points. I'm sure. I know you said after the game on our broadcast, you couldn't be prouder of the D.
No, I couldn't be. I thought they've been really, I think, a stellar unit all year long in terms of getting things fixed and like we talked about earlier in the show and moving on in the game and playing really good football.
All right, when we come back, the work continues, but not this weekend. It's a bye week for the Terriers. What does that mean on and off the field? We'll tell you next.
Nothing beats the power of Ford Truck Month, because only one truck can be the best-selling in America for 46 straight years. Ford F-Series. Only one has best-in-class payload, best-in-class horsepower, and when you combine this legendary power with the latest technology, you get the only truck built Ford tough. It's Truck Month. Hurry in today for great selection in stock and ready for delivery. Now get 3.9% financing for 60 months plus up to $2,500 cash back on select F-150 trucks.
It doesn't matter if you're active on the road or in the gym, your body is your strongest tool. Spartanburg Regional Sports Medicine Institute is here to push you to the next level. With partnerships across Spartanburg County schools, we're here when it happens. We diagnose, treat, and heal at the Sports Medicine Institute to get you back and active, in the gym, in the game, and to the next level. We never quit because you never quit.
Welcome back to Inside Wofford Football with head coach Sean Watson. So the Terriers have their bye coming up. It's a fairly late bye week, one of the latest we've had, 8 games into the season. How much does any team, coach, need it physically, mentally, especially this late in the year?
No, you need it. I think, like you're mentioning, you want your bye weeks midway through, let your mend up and heal up and make a run at the latter part. And ours is a little bit later, and we need it right now. We got to get guys off the shelf, and we'll get some guys that have been banged up the last 2 weeks back. It's going to give us a chance, most importantly, work with our younger players, because in that ball game and those last couple of drives, we actually have 4 true freshmen out there on offense, and that's going to allow us to work with them, because a kid like Santana Goodman went and had to go in at right tackle and did a nice job. So we're going to look at some of our younger players, and then look at some. We played R.J. Brunson some at receiver.
Saw that.
We're going to look at him a little bit more in that role, and just it'll give us a chance to see work with guys to see what we can do to put some guys in different spots the last 3 weeks.
I think I looked out there one time and you had RJ, Cam Smith, who had his first collegiate catch, and Tyler Parker was the 2 freshmen out there. So these guys are getting experience. Hopefully the veterans will come back, at least a few of them, after the bye week. What on earth do you do? What do your coaches do? We're all such creatures of habit on Saturdays. You've had a few of these bye weeks over the years. So some coaches get completely away from the game? Some kick back on the recliner and watch football? Do you even know what you're going to do yet?
It's probably going to be a game time decision for me. I've got, I know that, we're going to spend this week a lot of it, we'll start getting ready for Western Carolina, obviously, and then we'll start, we're deep into our recruiting process, so we're going to have a good week with our recruiting and evaluations and getting our boards, finalized, and then we will go out Friday and watch some high school games in the area, and then Saturday the coaches will have for their families, and that's basically what I do. I'm going to spend my Saturday with my new grandson, just learned to walk, so I haven't seen that venture yet, so I'm going to go check him out.
You coach him up a little bit? Give him a few tidbits there?
Yeah, I've got to make sure. His mom, she's an equestrian, and she's got him riding horses right now, little horses, and I want to make sure he's got a football in his hand.
That's an expensive sport. It's kind of like NASCAR. Money buys horsepower, whether it's on or off the track. Final question for you. Western Carolina, just some initial thoughts based on what they've accomplished this year. I know the game planning hasn't started yet. They're in the midst of one of their best seasons in a long time. Dropped a tough one, a big one to Furman at their place last weekend. Any initial thoughts about Coach Bell, the system he's been running, and the success that they've had?
Yeah, he's done a nice job. Kerwin and I talked last year, and I think he, obviously he's had it. He's into his recruiting process. He's really been able to flip the program here, and it's I think is this year 3 for him.
It's year 3, yeah.
Year 3. I thought it was. I think he was. He's done a nice job of getting his kids in there to fit that system. I've watched them. Just saw a lot of them on offense because in our exchanges, and they have got a tremendous quarterback. He's really good, and they had a bunch of good receivers and an excellent tailback, good offensive line. So I know there'll be a handful. I know they're well coached on defense, and they do a great job.
Should be a fun one here. It's the homecoming weekend here in Spartanburg in a couple of weeks. Western Carolina always brings a lot of folks down the mountain, so hopefully the Terrier faithful can match their energy and intensity in this one. You enjoy that bye week. We always appreciate your time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and have a good one. Everybody stay healthy, and we'll see you then.
All right.
All right. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. No show next week, but of course, we'll be right back here to preview, or after the Western Carolina game, the homecoming matchup here at Gibbs Stadium. For Coach Sean Watson, I'm Jim Noble. As always, thanks to you, to Budweiser of Spartanburg, to Yokohama, and we'll see you next time on Inside Wofford Football.